There we go. Well, we're live. Wait for some people to join in. So as you probably saw by the video title, I got just a cheap Harbor Freight hammer, and I already pulled it off the handle. There you go. This is the 3-pound cross pein hammer, and what's up, Kevin Lamar? Thanks so much for joining in. We're just modding this cheap Pittsburgh cross pein hammer. It's a 3-pound with a 16-inch handle, and I do not have, I don't, this is just kind of something I wanted to try because it's only $10. So if I can make it into a good forging hammer, then why buy super expensive hammers? So I'm just going to try that out. So really what I plan to do is make a nice handle for it. The good thing is it's got a good big eye, so in the head, so it'll hold a handle well. But then we're going to dome the striking end just a little bit more, or soften these edges up so that when you're forging steel, they're not leaving the edge marks in the steel. And then we're going to round this this pein, because it's cross pein, round it out nicely. And then we'll probably pull off this ugly black paint. And I won't do this right now, but I probably will put some muriatic acid or something like that to give it a good surface finish, better than just the painted black. Or I might go and search the the drawer for some paint that might look better. But so that's what we're going to do. First off, I'm going to start by just designing a handle. I'm going to be copying the Big Blue, so they're how they're spelled is big and then BLU hammers. They're high-end consumer forging hammers. So I'm going to be kind of copying their hammer style, and then like the their not their hammer style, but the handle style, and then it'd be basically going off the sizes that I like for my hammers. Which for my rounding hammer, I just have a straight, even hammer handle, but I kind of want to get this one a little bit more jazz and some more fashion, I guess is you could say. We'll put a fashionable handle on there. I don't know. So that's what we're going to try to do, and just basically make this hammer a good or try to make it a good forging hammer. Probably the best thing about it will be the handle, but if I can try and set you guys up so you can maybe see what I'm working on. I'll try this out. If it doesn't work, then or if you can't see much, then let me know. But I think right there is probably gonna work fine. I've not gotten a tripod yet, but this should do just fine. The other thing I can do is I could probably put you guys up here, looking down on the hammerhead. Does that? I think we're just going to go straight up. You know what, actually? I like that angle best right there. So we'll just run with that situation. So I'm hoping to try to make this handle about 13 inches long. This is about a 14-inch piece of wood, so I'm just going to make the handle about 12 and a half inches, and then we're gonna make the eye nice and long because I hate having way too short of an eye when doing this. So we're just going to give it plenty of material here. So for my handle, I am thinking that I'm going to do the end just a bit past, probably inch and 9/16. I think I'd like to do that. I'm going to grab a square. For marking this out, but I'm going about an inch and 9/16 off the edge, but we're leaving a little slack room because when cutting on the bandsaw, it does not like to get super close to the edge without popping out. So if we, add it like about a 16th of an inch or an eighth of an inch extra room down towards the end, it won't pop out as easily. So start off about there. That looks, I'm just doing this all by eye. But for doing an inch and 9/16, we'll just go right there. And this is going to be about inch 5/8 is what I'm making this, the end of this, which will give a nice wide feel in the hand, which will be nice for, me because this is, I'm hoping to make this, a good handle because also I'd like to be able to bring some of my fellow Boy Scouts into the forge. So hopefully we can do like metalworking merit badge. So this is actually the main reason I'm working on because if I can mod these hammers relatively easily, so that they'll be good forging hammers, then I'm just gonna buy like 2 more of these and make 3 good cross pins for forging with, so that our good nice hammers aren't getting super abused, but these $10 hammers are what's going to be abused. So with that, now I have 2 scribe lines on my piece. If you could see that right there, I'm having a hard time. So I have scribe line there and a scribe line there. So that's my end. That's basically going to be about how wide the hammer handle will end at, and then we're going to narrow it down a bit and then have a little bolt at the end, just kind of set the hand there, and that'll basically be the shape of the hammer. So for hammer eye dimensions, I'm going to be going off, we'll probably put it at right about an inch. So I'm going to run a scribe line from the center of this hammer handle all the way down so that we have a good starting place. So 1 3/4 would mean that the center of this handle will be right at 0.75, if that looks right. Well, 1 3/4, I'd put it right about an inch and there we go. So now I have my center line marked, which seems to be, because also this one's going by eye. Anthony Gardella, thanks so much for typing in the chat and joining on in. If you didn't see by the title name, we're just going to be modding a $10 Harbor Freight special cross peen hammer to see if it could be something that you can do to make a good forging hammer. Alright, right there. So we'll go. That looks just about right. About halfway. is a little bit more that way. There we go. So now that we have the center line scribed down, I will pop that line all the way down the center so that then we have a good starting place so that we are not getting crooked as we're making the handle, so that it all stays nice and flush and straight. And that looks good. So that's what we're running with. Now we're playing with fire. I'm going to take this scribe all the way down the piece. And that's our scribe line. So now off of that, we will then pop that to about 1 inch for the eye of our hammer. So it's nice about having the lock-in square is that then you can do that. So that's going to be about our eye. And then we're going to send that down to just about 2.5 inches, or about 2 inches, which this eye is just. So we're going to go about 2.5 inches because the eye depth is just under an inch. Felix F, thank you so much for joining into the live stream. So we're going down 2.5 inches for the eye depth, just so that we get a good solid lock into that eye. Because the last thing we'll want is our hammer falling off our handle. So we pull this up here. So as you can see right here, those are our 2.5 inch scribes down from the top of the piece down. That's going to be what's going into the eye of the hammer. Then we, as you can see here, you have the center line going all the way down to the 2 end marks. Now is the time for a little freehand. I am going to use this piece of copper pipe because I'm not super trusting of my freehand skills. So I kind of do want this to be symmetric. So we're just going to pop this one on and use the symmetry of it to get kind of our bulges coming out, which will then set the hammer nicely in. So now that we have those set, we're going to find basically what we want, our top dimension. So as I've already said, our bottom dimension is just about 1 3/4 inches. So we're going to shrink the hammer size down just a bit. So we're probably going to go to 1.5 inches. So we'll lose 1/4 of an inch coming from the bottom all the way up to the top. But that'll put us basically nicely at a noticeable taper going down to where then it flares out right before the eye, but it won't be super much difference, so that the handle will not be uncomfortable either towards the end or down to where it's skinny. So we'll just find again our center with the square, slide it in. So doing 1.5 inches, then we'll do just 0.75 on each side. And with that, we can make our scribe line. So with that 1.75 inches, I'm going to scribe my top line here and right up 1 inch our bottom line here. So now that we have our guidelines, now we can truly take it to freestyle, where I'm just going to kind of trace off of a main line. I'm going to do 2 diagonal lines leading from the wide side of the bottom of the handle down to the skinny top of the handle, and then we'll kind of add a little bit curve by hand when we're actually shaping this with the tools. And then the second part we'll have to do is we'll have to scribe our lines for the cross section of the handle so that everything will come out nicely on this. But real quick, we're just going to pop the square apart and scribe our lines top to bottom. So we have our first line scribed, and second line scribed. That one could be a little bit wider actually, but I think everyone's getting the idea of what we're doing here. And then we can just kind of make the bulges on the handle kind of blend. Using a little freehand magic. And we come out to having what I would say is a adequate handle for forging with. Setting you guys up here so that you can see. So up here, the eye bulges, and then the handle tapering out towards the end. So now here's the fun part that will go a little bit quicker now because we have dimensions, or we have rough dimensions that we're going to be working off of. So the top of our handle is going to be about 3/4. The up here towards the knob would be about 3/4 of an inch thick, and then go down here, we'll probably do it a little bit, probably 5/8, or sorry, not 5/8. We'll probably do it closer, right under an inch, so 7/8, about of an inch wide. So we'll reset my square. And we'll start setting up our guide. So down here from the bottom, I'm going to add this one. We're not going to have as much buffer room just because we'll make it a little easier to cut out. It won't make it as easy to cut out on the bandsaw, but we're not going to be doing too many intricate cuts. So that is the bottom of our handle right there, about 7/8 or 13/16 actually is closer to what it is. And then as we're coming down, we are going to follow our same marks, add some reference points that we can meet up with on this piece. So now that we have a reference point, we can look and see how thick the hammer eye needs to be about, which by just roughing, it looks to be about 3/4 of an inch. So we'll go, but first, before we do that, remember we need to add our center line. So if we're right about there, our center line is going to be about there. And then we'll just check it with some quick math, with some quick, eyeing out. And we see that that is just about our center line, which, it doesn't have to be super exact, but we do want it close enough just so that it does come out how we're kind of planning it. And there we go. We got our center line, and off of that, we will then make 3/4 of an inch will be half of 3/4 of an inch will be just about that. So with that all figured, we have the 3/4 of an inch marked out so that it comes out all nice and even. That works perfectly. And now that we have our 3/4 of an inch marked out, and we'll drop it down to our reference line for when kind of our bulges come out. But now what we will do, let's pull out those bulges, real nice, easy kind of swells. We'll have them end right about the same point that others do, just by roughly eyeing it out. And that leaves us with our basically running our lines up from the bottom. But off of that, we still need to get our lines are going to be the same on this one as they were on the bottom, or for the top of the handle, because the top of the handle is technically the same dimensions as the eye. So that's also another reason that it's nice to have that bolster there, so it kind of separates those two dimensions out, so that adds that aesthetically pleasingness to the handle. And if I can actually hold the square, the ruler of the square, nice and tightly, we can get some nice lines. But we'll try not to drop the tool either. Turn this around so that you guys aren't seeing my back, but you're actually seeing the workpiece. And that is a nice taper on everything. So with that, we're basically ready to take it to the bandsaw. So we'll pick you up and move you over to the bandsaw. And then I'll be right there with you guys. If anybody's wondering what I'm doing with the handle from that I pulled off of the Harbor Freight anvil, not anvil, off the Harbor Freight hammer, I'm just going to keep it, and if I have a small little hammer that doesn't need one, I'll probably just use it on, or that doesn't have that much load on it, and I'll probably use it on that one so that we aren't breaking anything. Because it's kind of just a cheap hardwood handle. It's not actual ash or anything. With that now, I will line up the piece nicely here to see, just to make sure that we aren't going to be cutting the edge of our piece off. And all right. With that cut, we will then cut the cross section like this. one section cut. I'm going to end the stream there. We're about 33 minutes in, so we'll probably finish this up in the video. So look for that. Thank you. Bye-bye.